So good, so good, so good.
Just in and so good. Thousands of spring finds up to 70% off are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. And that means thousands of fresh reasons to rack.
How did I not know Rack has Adidas?
Vince, Calvin Klein, Rag & Bone?
Obsessed. Why do we rock? For the hottest deals.
Save on Madewell, Kate Spade New York, Sam Edelman, Joe's, and more. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
Business taxes. We're stressing about all the time and all the money you spent on your taxes.
This is my bill?
Now Business Taxes is a TurboTax small business expert who does your taxes for you and offers year-round advice at no additional cost, so you can keep more money in your business. Now this is taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com/business. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service.
Life is made up of many gorgeous moments. Cherish them all, big and small, with Blue Nile. Whether it's for yourself or a loved one, Blue Nile's unrivaled selection of expertly crafted fine jewelry and statement pieces help make all your moments sparkle. Blue Nile's experts are on hand to guide you, and their diamond guarantee ensures you get the highest quality at the best price. Celebrate a life well lived in the most radiant way and save up to 30% at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
It's really cool.
Bonjour, hello, and welcome to the Rosbiff Rugby Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things French rugby, the top 14, Pro de Nationale, French national team. They blow the Champions Cup, the Challenge Cup, the brilliant town, cities, bars, supporters, cuisine, food, restaurant, you name it. We're going to cover it in some sort of level of poor detail. Rob is back from a non-French rugby weekend, but one that's left him with a few scars, I believe. How are you, Rob?
Yeah, I'm all right. I think I'm slightly worried that I might be getting a reputation of just mad weekends. One thing I do deserve a reputation for is missing flights, which I've become quite an expert in 2024. I think this weekend saw flight missed number 4, 5, and 6 in a weekend, which is, in hindsight, slightly stupid. But all fun and hindsight. All fun and games at the time. Actually, the one on Friday was not fun and games. I was incredibly stressed. But yes, I was at a wedding in Glasgow. And yes, I flew to Glasgow because I hate the environment, and also it's way cheaper and it's way easier.
Yeah, it wasn't the last time we went up to Glasgow was for that La Rochelle game, and the train took about 7 hours and cost about 180 quid or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty punchy. Yeah, we can understand. Go and plant a few trees. I must say though, on your flight missing, this does sort of, I'd say we're on totally polar ends of the spectrum with regards to flight time attendance or pre-flight attendance time.
Yeah,
and I'm very much on the get there as about 9 hours early, wait it out. Can't think of anything worse, and you're clearly on the other end. And look, I can't lie. There have been occasions where I've questioned my decisions, where maybe you've got a little bit more out of your holidays, but I feel suddenly doubly, triply vindicated of my nervousness about missing flights, given recent escapades. But good wedding, bit of Christmas,
yeah, very
Scottish cheer.
Yeah, very good wedding. A lot of reeling, like almost too much reeling. Like the Kaylee afterwards, it's like they're going again. They got another one. Oh my god, I was knackered. It's bloody tiring as well.
Yeah, the wedding I was at the weekend before had some Kaylee going on and cooked, absolutely cooked.
Yeah, because it's mental. It's a mental exercise as well to try and remember the steps that you've just learned. How was your weekend? You did not go to watch any rugby in the flesh?
No, I didn't. Unfortunately, I did have tickets to Exeter v Toulouse, which I bought a little while back, aware that it obviously was the 5:30, the sort of graveyard shift kickoff, but Great Western Rail or Great Western Railways, whatever they call themselves now, pre-nationalisation, which can't come soon enough, mate. They said that Yeah, just expect loads of trains to be cancelled. Sure enough, Sunday morning, about half the services down to Exeter were done for. But most crucially, it was the last train back was binned off, which was sort of the safety net, as it were, to not getting stranded. And it might have meant that had things gone to plan, I would have been back in pretty good time. But I just couldn't deal with the anxiety of a missed train and being stranded on the moors somewhere. So
yeah, and sleeping on the cushion seating of a 24-hour Greg's, because that would be something like that. If something like that had happened to you, I would imagine it's not that fun.
Being woken up the smell of gingerbread men and vegan sausage rolls. And what they called, like the steak bakes.
Steak bakes, yeah. There's a steak bake in there.
Internal
bake as well.
Internal temperature of plus 400 degrees in a steak bake. There was loads of rugby though. Whilst all of that was going on, we touched on it there. Actually, should we start at the end? Given we were just talking about my inability to get down to Exeter. My beloved Chiefs, who are in somewhat of a rut, it is fair to say, albeit I don't think are quite as catastrophically poor as they were a few weeks ago, got duly dispatched as anticipated by Toulouse, who we're telling nobody anything new here, but are playing some quite extraordinary rugby at the moment. It just everything and anything they try appears to come good. I don't know if you saw any of this one on your way back.
Yeah, I caught some of it yesterday. It's quite hard to. You're right. It's quite hard to say anything new about Toulouse. I think they just look so comfortable. I think that was the thing. Like I was actually just checking the score there, because they're in the quarterfinal last year at Stade Francais. Was actually a remarkably similar scoreline, 64-26. But that didn't feel nearly as one-sided as Sunday evening.
No, I think that game, from memory, it was pretty close at half time. There were only a couple of points in it, and I think this one, it was just a kind of constant procession. Everything they sort of tried, whether it be kicking from hand, kicking not from hand in the case of Tom Ramos, giving it the huge lump upfield of a bouncing ball, which resulted in a penalty turnover.
That was absolutely class.
It was amazing, wasn't it?
Because it's a brilliant kick in the first place, and then his kick chase is superb, and they get a penalty. Like, it is incredible.
It's such high quality, and it's so deliberate. It's amazing. They were just awesome. Their ability to. We'll talk about Dupont, as we always do, very briefly in a moment, but their ability, and I think it's off the back of watching him do it so often, to almost want to find a gap in the space by any which means, which may include running 20 yards backwards, or stopping dead in the middle of the pitch, or pulling someone out of a ruck to create some space elsewhere. It's just honestly, I think they're reaching new heights, at least when they're at full click, and particularly when Ramos and Dupont are playing. I think it's it's pretty masterful to watch. On Dupont, who got, I don't know if you saw, but when he got substituted, he got pretty much a standing ovation, which isn't always what happens at Sandy Park, it must be said. But he got greeted. There was a guy in the stand behind him wearing like this retro Clermont Auvergne Canterbury shirt.
I did see a bloke. Yeah,
he went and signed this kid's shirt, and then this guy gave him like the big like overhead like cheers. It was, I don't know what he was doing. I assume he just saw the shirt and went, "Yeah, that's my kind of guy."
Stash, yeah.
But he, look, we all know he's ridiculous. But I think in the first 10 minutes of this game, his first interaction was a ridiculous turnover on the ground, like the most precise, clean turnover you've ever seen. He then produced one of, like, I genuinely think one of the most astonishing offloads you'll ever see in the corner, like a proper sort of Sonny Bill. And then for the, maybe that was a little bit later actually, but the Flamand try, where he basically pulls Willis out of the ruck and pushes him to basically create a dummy runner out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That then frees up the space for Flamand. Which
looks
so basic.
Yeah. They're like, when you see it first time, you're like, how on earth has someone as big as Thibaut Flamand got a 10-meter channel with no one in it to just run clear? And it looks like absolutely shocking defending from Josh Hodge, whose defending
Isn't the best defender.
was not of the highest
No,
caliber on
it
Sunday.
wasn't.
But actually it's just a little bit of Dupont factor. As much as I kind of that feels kind of dialing it in a little bit, but actually it is. It's just the little things. There's so many little things in a game that he does that make people do funny things, like to just change people's decision making, both his own side and the opposition. It's just
yeah, they're just awesome to watch. Your man who you called the other week is being in fantastic form, Barassi, man of the match. He was awesome.
Yeah,
he looks like he's playing
had a hell of a game,
career best rugby, and it just seems that, and I think it is largely due to him. Like, it just seems he brings the most extraordinary things out in the rest of that team. Just a genuine pleasure to watch at times. Some of it. The only thing which we have discussed a few times is the scrum, which, apart from one scrum in the second half where I think it was Jimmy Roots who came on, who looks like, I mean, he's Ethan Roots' brother, but he looks like an even more lunatic version. Toulouse scrum not struggled, but had parity at best. And Alldritt got absolutely blitzed by Jacques Vermeulen and was like lying on the floor, looking like a bit of a beach whale. So I think that slight Achilles heel still exists, and they've obviously got Colomb.
Not fantastic either.
It's I don't know. It's just quite funny. You look at the Galacticos in that side, and then you watch poor old Dorian Alldritt wobbling around from side to side, not offering a huge amount. Yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if suddenly you see like Franz Malherbe or someone signed for them, and they literally never lose another game again. But
yeah, well, they still got Nepo Lalala.
Yeah, in the wings,
just injured. But you've obviously got an All Black. I think he's got like 50 caps, hasn't he? Like, he's got 50 cap All Black. Injured, but they do have him on the books. He's on the salary, so they don't have. Yeah, if they've got him and Colomb, that's quite a lot of cash tied up in
you would think so.
Props. I also thought, and obviously you've touched on him, but I thought Ramos was just ridiculous in this game. I thought it just
incredible.
Just does everything it just looks like he's walking. He looks so comfortable. I know he's getting a load of like space and time from Dupont and the forwards, but it's just. He looks like a man just kind of having a stroll. It genuinely looks like he's walking sometimes. And one of the replays, he's actually like going hard at the defender to make the 2-on-1. But when you see it live, he doesn't look like he's even trying. Yeah.
Yeah, you said, and just I think a final point on that. You say he's getting lots of front foot ball, and there's a lot of turnover ball, but it wasn't. I've seen more dominant forward performances. It wasn't like a total cakewalk up front. But you're right. Regardless, he's just. An incredible player, and a bit like Dupont, just the sheer variety of skill set and his ability to do almost everything in the back line is he just seems to be getting better and better, like month on month.
And incredible. Also just without, aside from all that, he's also the best goal kicker in world rugby. So
yeah, quietly.
Yeah, just quietly.
Yeah, I think he slotted pretty much everything in this, didn't he?
Yeah, he missed a couple towards the end, but
famously hard to
he always misses one. I don't think you've ever seen him get 100%. He will always miss one, but he generally when you're taking 8, that's like 7 out of 8 is pretty good.
Yeah. All right. I mean, so summary of that is Toulouse are looking pretty tidy, to put it mildly. Yeah. I guess the other sort of, well, certainly recently is the front running team who have flat to deceive at points a little bit in recent times, but La Rochelle are starting to look like they're clicking back into gear. You said you saw a decent chunk of this one.
Yeah, I saw this game. But you weren't able to go to Exeter. We did have a man on the ground in La Rochelle, a friend of Rosby, who I'm actually going to Welford Road with on Saturday.
Very nice.
To get an English rugby experience. But this was a physical game. This was a really physical game. It was, and you talk about dominant forward packs, just some of the carrying from the La Rochelle forwards. Again, it sounds like the sort of thing that you could just be dialing in, or like you hear it over and over again. But the dynamism of someone like Skelton, he looked so, you don't see him move that quickly that often, or you don't see people that size move that quickly. He was absolutely fantastic, ball in hand. And Tolu Latu was man of the match. He was also just absolutely everywhere. He's a little bowling ball in terms of round the park, and just the physicality that they bring. It is like, I think the one thing I'd really noticed in this, and Bristol are not renowned as, having a huge pack, but they've got some pretty big units in there. A couple of like high caliber international players. And La Rochelle's forwards were making ground almost every time, and it's proper like old school, get a fend out and just drag people with you, or just bump people off. Like Skelton, I can't remember who it was, but he properly like sat someone down, ball in hand. Alldritt, just real old school number 8, just like couple of yards after contact and then get an offload away. Or they made, I think you referenced on Twitter, like how many offloads Toulouse had made, which was ridiculous. But La Rochelle made like their highest number of offloads for ages. I can't remember the exact numbers, but they just go forward from their forwards, and the ability then to open up gaps and get the ball away, I thought was just excellent. They were so good in this game.
Yeah, they
in a slightly different way to how they were last week. Like, we did have the maul on roller skates last week against Bath, and there was a maul try for Latu that was pretty well worked by couple of big men up front, but this was more just kind of round the park, and just, you could see, I mean, by the end both teams were cooked. Like, Bristol gave it a fair old crack in terms of both sides were really good in defence, and there were some big old hits. Max Laheath was brilliant around the park. I've never been a huge fan of his scrum time, but he put in a real shift, and like 35 minutes in, he's absolutely blowing. It's like, fair play. Like, you are having to take a hell of a beating physically, and also you're every ruck. Yeah, it was they've really gone back to their best, I'd say, in the last couple of weeks, after that Van defeat. And Rog, after the game, I think, was still saying, he's still critical. He's like, oh yeah, we scored 35, but we should be scoring 70. Like, he's not happy still, and he was kind of made it quite clear that he was quite pleased but not delighted. He did say that the one thing that needs work on is their attacking phase play, which I would agree with. I think that's still a little bit of, still not quite where it was when they were at their really fluent best. There's a lot of crossfield kicks, which are pretty good, but there's not kind of a load of, the intricate back play that we see in Toulouse with Ramos and Ntamack and Malia. We don't quite have that from La Rochelle
as well.
Yeah.
You say there though about sort of, could you just be rinsing and repeating a statement about La Rochelle? But the fact is, they haven't been at that brilliant physical best for a little while, and the fact that they seem to be regaining that is amazing for them. It's pretty terrifying for other sides, because I think when they do hit that high, I don't think, in theory, I think some of the South African teams can live with that, but I think beyond that, they're a bigger, heavier pack than Toulouse, I think, and not to say that Toulouse team would ever be overawed, but it would be, in a head-to-head, it would be the thing that differentiates, or it would be the key factor in favour of a team like La Rochelle. So
they're not getting it all their own way at scrum time. Like, Antonio gave away a penalty, Colombe gave away a penalty, but then there were a couple towards the end when, to be fair, I think the tight head for Bristol was he was making his first appearance in either the Champions Cup or the Premiership. But he was in the under-20s in South Africa for England over the summer, so he's obviously a talented player, and I think he did pretty well on his first scrum anyway. But a couple towards the end, it was the kind of the 5 meter scrum where it's going over the try line sort of thing. Have you seen the Jack Knoll try?
Yeah, it was amazing. What a finish!
It is unbelievable. Like, it, in the truest sense of the word, it is unbelievable, because it defies physics. I don't know how he does it. It was kind of one of those things, like, no one wanted to give it a try straight away, and I was like, I reckon he's all right.
He's got it. Yeah, it's just sort of on the angle of the ball, isn't it? He kind of just nails it. Yeah, in a era where I think what was considered a spectacular finish in the corner, both in rugby union and league, has become pretty commonplace. This
Very
is head and
commonplace in
shoulders
league, and
above.
yeah,
It's remarkable. If you haven't seen it, take a look.
Talking of league, he didn't play, but we referenced a few weeks back Vunivalu moving there, kind of former league player, and there was a clear tactic from La Rochelle to do crossfield kicks. Like they must have done about 3 in like the first 15 minutes. It's interesting. Like it's interesting. I found it interesting that they recruited him because that is historically his superset, his super skill is kind of collecting crossfield kicks and finishing off those spectacular finishes. So I wonder if he will come in a bit more. I mean, they're pretty good with Tom Ayre and Jack Knoll and Dylan Lades, but yeah, there was
gives him another option.
It's also like their clear tactic at the moment in attack. Like they're not. Suteni came into it second half and was brilliant and was running brilliant lines and seeing great offloads and just freakish passes, but they're not. Yeah, that was their main attacking threat in the first half. Jack Knoll also generally was just. It's so nice to see him back playing like that because I thought he was done. I thought that was like a terrible signing for La Rochelle because this guy, you're getting 50% games out of him a season now, whereas actually he's now back to Lions winger Jack Knoll, who is involved in absolutely everything himself, like carrying really physically and like pushing people off. Really enjoying watching La Rochelle at the moment. Just like some of the skill, this quality of skill amongst the physicality is brilliant, and those halfbacks look so in control. Like Ehai West is playing some really good rugby and kicking goals really well, which is not something that you could have kind of said about him in the past.
Going very nicely indeed. Particularly, I think in the context maybe of the two other, well, what you'd say now favourites of the tournament, Leinster rather spluttered to a win over Clermont. We thought this was going to be an absolute hammering.
Yeah.
And they've won, what was it, 15-7, something like that?
Yeah, pretty unfortunate.
Kind of stuttered over the line a bit.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate for Clermont not to get anything out of that. If to get that close to Leinster.
But fair, I mean, it shows that, if nothing else, that Clermont perhaps are a little bit more the real deal this season than we'd anticipated, because you don't go to Leinster and basically not get pasted unless you're a pretty decent side, and their pack are going really well. So yeah, shame for them not to get a losing bonus point. That would have been thoroughly well deserved. And then Bordeaux also travelled over to the Northern Ireland, to Ulster, and eventually came through 40-19 winners, but didn't have it entirely their own way. But they've done I think the thing that maybe we're just dialing it in, but their ability to score tries in gluts is quite phenomenal. It really is quite something. And I think it was, what was it, 3 in 7 minutes against Leicester the other week, and now 3 in 9 minutes in this game, and suddenly the game's done.
Yeah.
And it's a remarkable ability to have. Maybe at the start of Europe, flattering to deceive a little bit with their consistency and some of their forward play, but I don't know. I like the unpredictability. I just love the fact that when they do like the touch paper, it's they're pretty much impossible to live with. Yeah, they march on as well.
Good amount of cards in that game from Bordeaux. 3 yellows. One of a few teams that got quite a few three cards.
I watched. I chose on Friday night to watch my beloved Castres over Racing's Sale, which I think you said you saw a little bit of. Did you see a pretty comfortable Sale?
I saw a bit, but it was all part of kind of getting on a flight and
general stress and generally just enjoying City Airport. Actually, it was great. It's quite cool. I mean, Racing have done their every time.
The bit I saw, I was quite surprised to see the final score, because they did kind of muck it up. They were what's the opposite of clinical? They were profligate in the bits I saw.
I was about to say like shit or something like not quite the same. I think this is directly linked to particularly my views on Racing, which are, any time I think they're being undersold slightly, and they're a bit of a sleeping giant, they get absolutely battered. Whereas at any point where we write them off as being just this team that can't put it together, they tend to pull something out of the bag. So I think there's a direct causal relationship there. And so it appeared to be. And they actually looked not bad side on paper, this, with a serious Ros beef and British flavour as well. So
do you think that's the most British side a French side has put out?
It must be.
It can't be far off. Who did you have? You had Kapoku, Rowlands, Lancaster, Sam James, Arundel.
I thought there were more than...
Maybe just the fact that Max Spring and Tristan Tedder are in there just looks English.
Potentially. But you were talking about cards. I watched, while that was happening, I watched Castres Munster, which was an absolute all-time non-classic. It was two teams that could not string it together, particularly in Munster's case. And Castres really should have been clear in the first half. It was some game. The difference maker, who we've spoken about so many times, was Will Collier. Won I think 2 big scrum penalties in the first half, and then I can't remember. What's his name? The replacement tight head. Not bother looking at. Replacement tight head got sin-binned. One of I think 3 or 4 yellow cards for Castres.
Harato got sin-binned.
All of which were just...
He's had a lot of cards, I think,
the most... And he
had that really dense one a few weeks back where he's just like slapped down a quick tap, didn't he?
He's got that fabulous bit. Oh, that was him as well against La Rochelle when they nearly imploded at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't realised that. That was probably the most blatant yellow card I've seen this year, but he was trying his best and duly got binned. But it meant Collier came back on. And they cleared their lines twice at the scrum. And the winning penalty, which was Louis Lebrun, scudded one over after. So Fernandez had missed a couple, and then Demora missed one in front of the sticks as well. It was just magnificent levels of fast across the board.
Why was Lebrun not kicking from the start?
I don't know. The one he kicked, he sort of chipped it over the crossbar. So I don't know if he couldn't quite kick. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
I thought a full strength Castres team would more than do a job in this. And it was a scrap. It was pretty horrible. But it clearly meant a lot to them. And it finished in hilarious circumstances with Geoffrey Pallis keeping Jack Crowley's 5-metre touch finder in, hoofing it into touch himself. They went big. First win in the tournament since 2019, which is...
That's not right. They won last year, didn't they?
Mate, unless who was it on comms? Ryle Nugent has done me. It was the first since 2019.
Wow.
Yeah, hilarious. Genuinely hilarious work all round in that game.
They might not have even been in the Champions Cup last year. Maybe that's what... Maybe I'm thinking of Challenge Cup last year.
Oh, and then discipline. We can't talk about discipline without mentioning Stade Francais, who at one point had 3 red cards in 80 minutes of Champions Cup rugby going in the first half of this game.
Okay, nice.
Our man, the Macalou-natics, the Macalou-nacy.
There was only one lunatic in this, wasn't it? And that was the man himself, the Macalou-natic. That was... I can't understand how or why he's done that.
I mean, I shouldn't laugh because it is a pretty heinous swinging arm to the face. But it's the fact that the reason Van Zijl's on the deck is because he's tripped him as well. I don't know if
I hadn't seen that bit. No,
he trips him. It's like the most stonewall yellow card you've ever seen. He kicks his ankle and then comes in with it's like a WWF team move, like the 3D, the Dudley Boys back in the day. But you only need one of them because Macalou's such a unit.
He also Van Zijl looks at him. He looks at him, so there's enough time for him to put there's enough. Van Zijl looks at him and braces himself, which suggests to me that there is enough time for Macalou. Also, enough time for Macalou to pull out.
It's wild. I think maybe I just don't know him or have seen him enough. It doesn't strike me as the sort of character. It's not like a red card machine who's done it time and time again. You know,
yeah,
it's like Thomas Lavanini. You'd be like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, because Martin Gillingham said, here's one of the reasons why he's one of the great untapped or never quite kind of reached his potential, which he definitely is. But I don't think that's because of him just dishing out high shots the whole time, like Thomas Lavalini or someone like that. Yeah, it's a bit of a brain fart, isn't it? Which he is capable of in other forms.
And it killed them as well, because Stade, the first 15 minutes were totally rampant in this game, and it just sucked it out of them. And Saracens did what they needed to do. It was a pretty tidy.
So many penalties.
Yeah, they just chipped away.
Just two more cards, two more yellows.
Yeah, one of which could have been a red. I think it would have been half, but it was certainly on the cusp. Yeah, not great. The Stade Francais fast continues, and I guess the final.
Presumably they're going to be missing a few players now for a few weeks. They're going to be bans for all of those. So
I think Macalou without 10 weeks. Yeah,
they're going to be without 3/8 of a pack for quite a while now.
Yeah, Macalou, Passanti, and
Azago.
Yeah, that's a pretty decent spine to be losing as well. Yeah, the game we picked out as the game of the round, a rare good prediction was Toulon Glasgow.
Yeah,
1 point win. Toulon. I think the story of this was the my old was crackling. It looked fantastic. Glasgow, bit of a change side, but with a very, very strong bench. The call outs from this one, Fayanga-Nuku, who I don't think we've seen get as much game time as we would have liked this year.
He hasn't played. He's been injured. He hasn't played that much.
Was brilliant.
At all.
He was absolutely awesome. Key point first half, double yellow card, Saran and Ludlam. And albeit I think Glasgow actually scored with the last phase of the yellow card, the Simbin period, but had managed to ride it out up until that with 13 men. And that, I think, was ultimately the kind of difference maker between the two. Yeah, pretty, not bad. I mean, Glasgow, a very good side. Toulon, I think we probably recognise as one of the best of the rest, albeit not with
dark horse, aren't they?
I don't think I don't know if they've got the minerals to go to sort of semi-finals, but yeah, thoroughly enjoyable game regardless. I'm going to guess that you weren't able to see this in a Glasgow pub because there was a small matter of another old firm derby in the Scottish Cup final.
Yeah.
But
no, I didn't manage to catch it.
Yeah,
I am plotting up the number of cards by French sides this weekend. I make it 3 for Castres, 1 for Racing, 3 for UBB, 3 for Toulon, red and 2 yellows for Stade Francais, and 1 for Clermont.
It's all right, that, isn't it?
Extraordinary. I think the French really outdid themselves on that front this weekend.
Good work all round. We missed anything from a French perspective? I think we've covered it all there.
Yeah, why not?
Nice. All right, let's give it a sec. Come back with best of the rest and a bit of Pro Day dip.
The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
USAA. Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader. Like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
There was also, of course, a bit of Challenge Cup action taking place with plenty of French involvement. Don't think we learnt too much here. Montpellier brushed aside the Ospreys as expected. Bayonne still don't travel particularly well in Europe.
That was a strong team. That was a strong team
away at Edinburgh.
Yeah, that just shows they just don't turn up. Because that was a properly good Bayonne team. I was surprised how strong it was. It wasn't far off full strength, if not full strength. But yeah, they got absolutely pumped.
Proper drilling that. your boys Po, the only team to fall foul of a South African team in this round of European or Champions Challenge Cup rugby, whatever you want to call it. Bit of a thriller, 43-35 away at the Lions.
It was
Lyon.
also that game was also delayed and then
paused. I saw this, yeah. What was going on there?
The weather, I think. As when I was kind of in a Glasgow bar trying to work out what the hell was going on, was quite confusing. A game that should have started at the same time as one of the others, kind of only halfway through. I couldn't work it out. But yeah, I think it was just the weather in the end. So they had to pause and come off and then come back on. It was like storms.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Lyon got a win away in Parma. A bit of a nail-biter. Good win against Zebra, who rumours are may not be in existence too much longer. Article by Francisco Isaac that came out yesterday. They may be looking to move that franchise, that kind of entity, the Italian URC entity to, guess where?
Padova,
correct.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. So keep an eye out on that one. And then Perpignan lost at home to Connacht.
Yeah, that's not
which
good,
I was a bit surprised by. Again, they had a pretty strong side out. Did see though, I did know this player had gone to Connacht, but I think it was a little while ago and they haven't played too much. See, he was at fullback in this.
Yeah, but as soon as you said that, I knew that you were going to talk about Santiago Cordero, some player fresh off the back of whatever it was, four years at Bordeaux, couple of seasons at Exeter, bit of a legend wherever he goes. Genuinely some player, albeit probably getting on a little bit now. Probably, yeah.
And our boys lay down a marker for the rest of the tournament. You heard it here first. They're going all the way. Van beat Gloucester under-19s 43-19 at home. Very, very one-sided. And a few questions raised as to Gloucester's approach to this, I think. Sent the shags and then some, apparently. But
it's not too bad. Tuasui played. Vivas played. You got two internationals there.
There you go. But
Chris Harris played. You got a Lion.
Did
he? Yeah.
Oh, reports slightly unfair then. But yeah, great news for Van getting off the mark in Europe. I did see. I've also been keeping a bit of an eye on the Van ticket office. You could have got tickets for this just before. They did sell out in the end, but going on sale for Edinburgh quite soon. So I'd love to get across there. I think it's Matt Hardy, who's the City AM rugby journalist, put an article out saying it's one of the best away days. Away days, that's such a football thing to say. One of the best away trips he's ever done. So I have to get out to Brittany at some point.
There were tickets available for La Rochelle this week. I saw a tweet on like Friday.
Oh, were there?
That there's still tickets, or like on the resale.
Oh, cool.
There was some available.
You could go at the drop of a hat. Just before we move on to domestic affairs, there's been quite a lot of chat recently. I think the Times Rugby podcast yesterday, a lot of the articles from the weekend focusing particularly on the South African involvement and where the tournament's at. Is it disillusioning fans? Are people engaged? Do people give a shit, basically, about the Champions Cup? Where are you at with your general attitude towards the tournaments at the moment?
I mean, I've already said last week or our European preview, maybe the week before, that I would still like it to be a European competition, just from our real passion spawned from away trips. And you kind of can't do, unless you're planning a massive holiday, you can't do an away trip to some of the venues. This weekend, also, we had what everyone thought on paper, so that could be quite a good game, was just a non-event in terms of my side, Leicester Tigers, hosting the Sharks, because they can put out pretty much full international pack of basically one of the best packs of all time, and none of them played. So the South African sides themselves are citing travel and logistical issues, but they are not bothering to send strong sides to Europe for these games. I know they do for some URC games, but for these games they are not. Which I think it does devalue it. It's been said so many times. There's also too many teams in this competition for it to be an elite competition. Like you do. I know Chiefs were okay at times last year, but they are bottom of the Premiership, having not won a game, and they are playing in this competition.
Yeah, and they finished 7th last year, right? So they're sort of two thirds and a bit down the table. Yeah, I'd agree with all of that. I think the sticking point, and where I can understand some South African commentators and fans being a little bit frustrated with the sentiment, is the fact that particularly French teams have picked and chosen what they want to do in Europe for quite some time.
Yeah.
And I do understand why, therefore, when those accusations are leveled, that it can feel a little bit unfair. I do think that the practical side of it, just from a fan perspective, from a cost perspective, from a player perspective of travelling that far, like
player welfare, yeah.
I mean, Exeter, they're not playing great rugby. They've gone and played pretty much a full Springbok pack and then had to travel back a day at least, and then you take on the French team on Sunday.
Best team in the world, yeah.
Like it's ridiculous, the travel expectations. But I think one thing is frustrating because they've obviously managed to make it work in the URC, and in theory, all it should do is increase the level of competition. You look at some of those sides, and it should add so much, but it seems incredibly apparent at the moment that it simply isn't working. And it's not just on the South African teams, it's on the structure of the tournament, how easy it is to get out of the group stages. But I think it's throwing the group stages into like a bit of a lottery as well, depending on where you're drawn home and away. And it's just the whole thing. And to be honest, if you take a step back, I feel like the group stage of the tournament is basically hanging on the fact that three big French clubs, Leinster and a couple of good English sides, are always going to send their best team. Because if Toulouse start pulling the plug and sending the Shags to Exeter and Bordeaux start doing that, then, and maybe they will in the next few rounds, I don't know, but it doesn't feel that way. Suddenly the whole thing genuinely feels like a bit of a mess.
I think you look at on that, because it isn't just, it is the structure of the competition partly, because you look at Bath. I was with a Bath fan on Sunday, and that team is just that is a complete Shags, and they've lost by 1 point in a game. Like back in the day, if you've got Benetton in your group, I remember the times that Leicester would have a pretty easy run to the quarters because simply by virtue of having Benetton in your group. And I know the times have changed, but an away win in Treviso can get you so far up the table in terms of the rankings that can actually make quite a big difference. And for them to send such a poor side and lose by only 1 point, A, they could be kicking themselves. B, just shows like they didn't even really think that they could be bothered to get the away win. Partly because, well, they're now 2 bonus points out of their 2 games, and I don't know what the rest of the tournament holds. But
they've got Leinster and Claremont,
yeah.
But I mean that in itself, again, if you're a South African fan, and you'd point to that, like that's, I think the way Bath have done that is pretty. I think it's completely abject, personally. I don't get it.
Competition.
Completely devalues Benetton. It feels like it needs like some sort of change is required, and it's frustrating because it's such a good tournament. And I still look forward to watching it so much, and it does still serve up crackers. Like you've been talking about South African teams, Northampton beating the Bulls, an amazing performance, an amazing result for them. And you do get these gems, but they feel vanishingly rare at the moment. And it's also just creating, like, we shouldn't really be talking about this. There's so much great stuff to get stuck into. And it just, I don't know, it just feels a bit of a shame. You know, we know rugby isn't in a great state broadly, and there's some astonishingly brilliant entertainment over the weekend. And some changeable things, I think. And I don't know when that's going to shift, but we are where we are. Make the most of it while we can.
Yeah, I mean, like that first round, I absolutely loved. But maybe I got lucky with the games I watched, but the games I watched in that first round, I thought were all brilliant.
Yeah,
and the games I've seen bits of from this weekend again, like had epic elements to them. So fingers crossed we can continue on.
Back to domestic affairs, Nationale, before we go into Pro Day Deux. The key thing here is that I've 100% put the mockers on Rouen, who were sailing clear but 2 weeks ago. They then lost last week, and this week drew at home to Bourg-en-Bresse.
Oh my God.
20 all. So yeah, quite what's happened there. And that leaves them, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, third in the league. Having been runaway, front runners running away with it. Chambéry are now top, with Narbonne nestling into that second, that access match to Pro D2 slot. Again, some real, they do like a tight game. The Suresnes-Narbonne game, which is the one we shouted out to Saracens fans, Narbonne won 2019. And a similar result away at Albi for Carcassonne, who won at 31-28. So
Carcassonne have been doing all right, haven't they? Oh no, they lost to Narbonne in the El Classic Ord, didn't they?
The Classic Ord, yeah, they're only a couple of points behind though. That top six is genuinely clear now though. Albi in six, Carcassonne, Périgueux, Rouen, and then say Narbonne and Chambéry. So hotting up nicely. Although the team who went up last year, Stade Niçoise and Pro D2, are starting to look a little bit ominous, starting to get cut adrift slightly, unfortunately for them. Not helped by it finally happened. Pro D2, the tide, has it turned on Oyonnax? What do we reckon? Or was that just 10 weeks of pent-up rage that has come out in a bit of a hammering there?
Don't know. I mean, they are still 14th and they are still 13 points off 6th, which is quite a decent chunk to make up in 16 games.
53-10 against Soyo-Angoulême, who went low as well and have been excellent away from home.
Still the best away team in the league, but dominant in... Well, I think we're just dominant in every facet, and I think we know that they're capable of that. Has the tide turned? I don't know, because they beat, a much weaker side, but we have seen them put 50 points on a team at home already this season, and then they went on a losing streak. So I'm going to reserve judgment on Oyonnax, but I'm secretly wishing the mire to continue.
To say they needed that though is something of an understatement, I think, isn't it? It's pretty crucial for them.
Certainly the eye-catching result in Pro D2 last week, because Saxby have been so good away from home.
100%.
The Ben Botka derby, and he was pretty gutted, I think, by the result.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. A couple of bit of a classic on Thursday evening. Dax beat Provence by a point.
Yeah, just another classic Pro D2 mad game of late penalties and snatching it right at the death. Yeah, Provence still winless away.
That's remarkable, isn't it? And they've been, not just this one, but they've been really close in a few big games as well, haven't they?
Yeah.
They had to draw, I think, at Angoulême earlier in the season. So it's not like they're getting totally dusted away from home. Just can't. The Castres, until the other week, when they did get hammered, the Castres of Pro D2 at the moment.
But it was all home wins this week, Richard.
It was. First this year?
I think it's the second. I think we've had one. Yeah. And in hindsight, all quite predictable. But there, I think, is the big one. Good win for them. That's 2 on the bounce now for them. So
yeah, they go nicely.
Although that's 2 relatively easy fixtures they've just had.
Valence Roman as well beat Stade Montois, who've been going quite well.
Valence Roman's right. I feel like they're doing really well. I feel like they've had a good season and they're still 15. I don't quite understand what's going on, because it feels like they have a positive result almost every week, and Oyonnax have a negative result every week, and Nevers have had loads of negative results, and they're behind both of them. I don't quite understand what's happening there. Maybe I've got black and white checkerboard tinted spectacles on for some reason, but
I feel like they probably have. I mean, it's quite a small club, so maybe not, but I feel like they have quite a good club shop, Valence Roman, some good checkerboard kit knocking about.
Yeah. Their fan account, their supporters association on TikTok is quite good fun. They do lots of videos of just making loads of noise.
Excellent. And then, the big match of the weekend was the top of the table clash. So Grenoble-Brive. Brive they had a pretty strong side, but I don't think there was any Courtney Laws, if I'm not mistaken. I don't.
Yeah, he played, I thought.
Did Laws? Did he? I may well have been looking at the wrong team sheet. In which case, Apologies. I feel like, did Ferte play?
No, he didn't play. Sorry, ignore me. Sam Johnson played. Cohen Bosch played.
A couple rotated out.
Yeah, no Carbonneau, no Ferte.
And I think scoreline flatters them a tiny bit as well because Grenoble raced out to I think a 20 odd nil lead here. But I think the interesting thing, particularly for you, and maybe it segues nicely into the Petit Fours, but both teams involved in various fly half merry-go-round rumours, both involving your club Leicester. Have you seen these?
No.
So apparently there's a lot of interest at Brive in Jamie Shilcock.
Wow.
Which I'm not surprised by. Obviously they've got Bosch, but he's been fantastic for quite some time. And with Andre Pollard and potentially that happening, Andre Pollard, I think, maybe off to Japan. Rumours swirling of the Magician of the Mountains to Leicester.
Wow, I'd take that.
Yeah.
He'd be brilliant at Leicester.
Yeah, he would. Feels like a proper Leicester 10, doesn't he, Sam Davis?
Yeah.
So
Andy Good massive boot style.
Yeah, whether any of that comes to pass, I don't know. But both of them being linked in that sort of little triangle of rumours. Yeah, maybe actually before we go into the Petit Fours proper, what takes your attention next week, both in Pro Day and of course we haven't mentioned it, the return of the top 14.
There was a game in the top 14 that I thought might be quite interesting. Castres Bordeaux.
Yeah.
Can Castres' home record
withstand
the rampant Bordeaux as they currently are? They'll probably send a weakened side and it'll be fine. But you never know. Because they've had two pretty big weeks. Be interesting to see what sides Bordeaux send. La Rochelle, what side will they put out at home? Because they've had a pretty couple of physical
But that
games.
could be, if off the back of that Leinster game, maybe Clermont will rest a few, but that could be a real beat because we said earlier, Clermont's pack in particular have been going great guns. Could be some fairly naughty collisions going on in that one. But I agree with you. I think Castres Bordeaux is the standout. Oh, it's a late kickoff as well. And I can't see it because I'm away. That's annoying. Damn. I was hoping that was the Sunday evening game.
Bus journey back from Leicester.
That's Leicester Bristol, right? On Saturday. Oh, excellent. And Pro Day, give me one game.
I am going to go for Montauban Oyonnax.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. I think that looks quite good, doesn't it?
Montauban three defeats in a row, I think now.
Having had such a good start.
Yeah. Joshua Avisi still scored an epic try. Although it was partly set up
by... Who was it set up by? Sorry, I've cut you off there.
I can't remember who it was set up by. I think it was by might be Bosville, but yeah. He finished it off, but it was a brilliant try.
If you haven't seen it, the try in the Béziers match. Oh god, his name escapes me. Fullback is going to Leon Gabin Law, an absolute worldie, like genuine try of the season contender. That I think it's up on our socials.
Solo effort, which leads me nicely on to one of the Petit Fours I wanted to touch on. The France 15 game against England 15. I did have a little think of someone asked me on TikTok, and but then I don't quite know the timing of it. How does it fit in with the tour to New Zealand?
I think it's I think it's beforehand. I think it's like a warm up for England's tour to Argentina and France to New Zealand.
So it's basically going to be probably no barrage sides. It's probably basically as strong as France can put out with no barrage sides, I'd imagine.
Probably. Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure if we might get someone like Gabin Law in there.
Yeah.
Kind of a young player coming through, load of talent. Could, depending on who's not available, you'd imagine Ramos won't be playing. Well, I kind of took it to be slightly more of a France A type thing. But it'll be interesting to see who we get, like whether we get like a Carbonneau, Ferte, Gabin Law, like those younger guys stepping up. But I guess I was thinking like there was quite a lot of came out with quite a lot of Clermont players, so like Berrier, Massa, Montagne, Derek Carrere. But then they might be in the mixer for the barrage. So be interesting to see. Watch this space, basically.
Lyon usually get a bit of representation in these sides, don't they? And you can bet your life.
Noah Nene might be the one, another Pro Day 2 player from Dax who could sneak in there maybe. Rangy 13.
Nice. You can bet your life that Arthur Vincent of Montpellier will be in there. He's always called upon in these scenarios. He's always there.
He's always there.
He's a fine player. There's no not slagging him off. He's a cracking rugby player, but he's just always the bridesmaid. Never the bride is our Arthur. Anything else?
Georgie Berry has moved to Perpignan, so he's no longer at Clermont, so he might play. Him, Boya Gallardo, the other young guy, and
Mongaillard,
hooker
possibly.
that Brooksy rated. Mongaillard, yeah.
Any other petty fours from your side? I've got one that I quite enjoyed in the week.
Go on, Rich.
It was an article that Dan Bigger did on the Champions Cup travel.
Okay.
And I managed to, it was on Mail Plus, but some ropey geezer basically like copied and pasted it into a Word document or something so you could read it. No wonder journalism is dying. But he was talking about some of the pitfalls and things like that. And he revealed that apparently Pierre Mignoni is absolutely petrified of flying. And he said so apparently for the games when they go and play van and stuff, he'll always drive. Then when he'll always drive. And there was a quote in there that said something along the lines of he threatened to sack the team doctor if he wouldn't give him like a sleeping pill or something to help him get through the flight. Said he was absolutely losing his head. So I feel like I'm not seeing much of him at the moment. The Champions Cup cameramen aren't as interested in cutting to Mignoni. Like I saw nothing of him on Saturday. It's we need more Pierre. Or Sunday, it was Sunday afternoon, wasn't it? So that caught my attention. I enjoyed that greatly.
That's amazing. So France Rugby posted. Do you want to do? I can give you. You can do this as a little bit of a quiz. France Rugby posted the Spotify Wrapped of some of the France players.
Oh wow! Okay.
I'm not going to try and get you to guess Antoine Dupont because I've never heard of any of them. Which back rower for France had Adele as his second most listened artist?
Francois Cross.
No.
Oh.
Greg Alldritt.
Really?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Let's do another one. Which three-quarter line back had Billie Eilish as number 4?
Which three-quarter, as in like an out half or a centre?
Not half-backs. Anyone outside of half-backs.
Okay, fine.
Centre wing full-back.
Yoram Moefana.
No. Speaks very good English, this chap. Unfortunately, it's not a Croydon artist. Otherwise, you would have got it. But it's Emilien Gaeton.
If you said Stormzy, I would have got it.
Which back rower has the top 5 of, he's into his R&B, Drake, Burna Boy, Usher, Mac Miller, and Alicia Keys?
Boudon.
Alexandre Roumat.
Really?
I wouldn't have thought that.
Roumat looks like he listens to classical music.
Yeah. Obviously not. He's into noughties R&B. But there you go. A little bit of fun for you there.
Very good.
Mikel Guillard is a big fan of Black Eyed Peas as well, which is a nice throwback.
Hilarious. I saw the England team did that, and they're all into like the sort of modern country music, which absolutely despise.
Yeah.
Maybe showing my age. My
Spotify Wrapped was obviously top 5 most songs was number 1, Don Les Yeux d'Emily, number 2, La Goffa Lolita, number 3, The Marseillaise.
Ridiculous. I did see that on another, is it Danny Cares doing a podcast? They had Jack Willis on, and he was picking his dream team from the top 14. And there's one player from Bayonne. Can you guess who that might be?
Cami Lopez.
No, it wasn't Cami Lopez. Unsurprisingly, no, it was his centre partner. He went Mangala.
Sorry, Mangala. Yeah,
so from when he played against him a few weeks back, they all were like, "This guy's fucking electric," basically.
Yeah,
which was pretty cool. I feel like was there one more? Oh, the other Petit four, which isn't in French rugby but was retweeted on a lot of French rugby pages, was a game I think at Moseley Seconds. I don't know if you've seen this, where during a break and play, a guy gets wiped out by a muntjac deer.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. Well worth a watch. I think that's pretty much it. I think we're done.
Yeah.
You can follow us as ever on, I still haven't set up Blue Sky. I'm off work from Thursday onwards. I'll do it over Christmas.
Nice. Twitter or X, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, YouTube. I've been slack on YouTube. I've been too busy with work, but we'll keep trying. But yeah, we're at Rosbeefs Rugby on all of those. Please like, follow, subscribe, all that jazz.
All that jazz. We'll be back before this side of Christmas, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll see you
big
then.
weekend this weekend, isn't it?
Very big weekend. And in the meantime, have a fabulous week. Enjoy the top 14. Enjoy Pro Day Day. Enjoy your Christmas parties. And we'll see you very soon. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.